Welcome back, guys. Blue Collar Inquisitor here. Get in, sit down, and buckle up. We're in for some different kind of content here today. This is not my PoE, leveling, as you can tell. So this is actually the lab-grown meat subject, and yeah, I find myself torn in this category, but more on the side of I don't like it. It gives too much control to those who are going to be growing our food. I mean, yeah, to me it's too much control in basically basically the hands of too few. So I watched about 2 minutes of this video, and I was like, yep, this is basically it. This is what I want to talk about. So let's get into it, guys.
This is science meat. FDA approved science meat, of course. It was grown in a vat instead of inside an animal's body. And I'm about to chow down on it.
Let's head on in.
Okay. This isn't like a soy-based fake meat. It's real meat made from real chicken cells. Right now, dozens of companies are trying to figure out how to grow meat in unconventional ways, and it's beginning to work. Why do this? Concentrated animal agriculture takes a huge toll on the environment. And with the demand for meat expected to skyrocket in the next few decades, well...
Yeah, so the demand's going up. Well, obviously, our population's going up. Not everybody's vegetarian, vegan, or anything like that. So I find that the simpler solution would be to, you see these the cattle right here, right? I don't know, find a way to double that. And you go, oh, well, how can you do that? Well, I don't know. We've done extensive studying on genetics, right? Genes and everything. I mean, that's what this is in a sense. That's what they're kind of like pushing for, right? In a sense. So my thing is like, okay, well then, you just find the cells that, make a female cow have like, because obviously, bulls can mate and reproduce with many sows and stuff, right? So why are we not trying to do that? Why are we trying to find such a complex, answer to this maybe not seemingly easy problem? But instead it's like if someone asked for a bottle rocket and you gave them a freaking, I don't want to say it, but a nuke. You know what I mean? Anyway, so let's keep going.
It's a big problem.
Meat is a product that we've loved for thousands of years, and the demand for it is doubling.
When? You said the demand is doubling. What time period is he talking about? Within what span? Because if our population isn't doubling, please explain to me how the demand is doubling. That to me doesn't make sense. And that's why I feel like, especially with a subject like this, you need to explain all the fine details. This is peak pinnacle science up there. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to create meat in a lab, like sterilized environment, lab coat and everything, instead of out on the dirt in a farm. Okay, well, you're gonna have to explain to me the demand of meat is doubling when? Right now? That's weird. Our population didn't double. And from what period? I don't know what he's talking about. What time period?
We have to come up with
Lab
ways
coats,
to
look
be
at that.
ingenious and give people what they want in a more efficient package.
Yeah.
We can
I
meet
like
this
that.
doubling of demand with a production method that is safe, sustainable, a lot more humane, So the question is, why don't we need an opportunity like this to be explored?
God gave us these creatures for a reason. He said to, nurture, take care of, and do with them. Well, we are, we're consuming them in the most humane way, that we can. Yeah, I mean, our chickens, our cows, our pigs, aren't put up in the Hilton or anything, or the Hamptons, but I think stewardship and care for the land is I really think it's actually embedded in all of us, whether it's more surface or deep down. I really think that everybody in the world connects to the earth in that way, in a sense. So, and I think it's our responsibility. It is. It was given to us. So let's keep going.
Right now with urgency.
What if we could grow most or even all of the meat we need with a much smaller impact?
Yeah.
What if we could make healthier meat?
Right there. Right there. That's the scary part to me. That is definitely the scary part to me. So we gotta ask ourselves, are we so sure that the people that are willing to dump millions, possibly even billions of dollars into that, probably billions, Bill Gates is involved, so it's probably billions, dump this much money into making sure that you and I are healthy? Now, we can take a look at the FDA in itself, how they have kind of, sold us up the river. We have, at least here in the US, we have a lot of, poisonous chemicals in everyday food. Foods that should say on the package not to consume daily. Probably not even to consume half of the serving size. The whole thing about nerds, you're only supposed to have like 90 in a year. I used to eat those things by the big box full because guess what? It didn't say otherwise on the box. Now, FDA, I fear that, let's say Big Pharma gets involved. And in that case, now we're dealing with a whole bigger, problem, can of worms that won't be. So, look at Big Pharma and how overly prescribed, like, SSRIs and all those antidepressants are. I mean, there's antidepressants in our water supply, fish being depressed or whatever. I don't even know how you can test that, but anyways, yeah. So are we so sure that they're actually going to create this meat to be healthy for us? Bill Gates himself said we need to cut the world population in half in order to sustain ourselves. Okay, well, here we go. Lab-grown meat.
Or meat that was otherwise impossible to get.
This is a dumb idea. What are we doing? Jurassic Park meat? Anyways, keep going.
Science is about asking questions that you don't know the answers to. It's about recognizing the limitations of society that you have at the time that you must overcome. And what is the science telling you?
This is Hard Reset, a series about rebuilding our world from scratch.
Okay.
Welcome to Emeryville, California. It's right next to San Francisco. Pixar is there, there's an IKEA, and a pretty good mall. And this place, a high-tech factory for cultivated meat. This is Uma. He's the founder and CEO of Upside, and we hear he's a blast at birthday parties.
I grew up in a meat-eating family, loved eating meat. One day, as a kid, I went to a friend's birthday party. We were having fun in the front, and then I walked to the back of the house, and that is where they were slaughtering the animals that were being used to feed the people in the front.
That is called fresh food, my friend. Man. A couple of my buddies back in the day were Cuban, And they used to take an entire succulent pig and slow roast that baby, and the whole thing, the whole open fire spick, and just you know oh man, I'm hungry now.
It was the birthday, death day happening at the same time with incredible joy in the front and incredible suffering in the back. And I think that was the first time I came directly face to face with the duality of meat.
So I guess this kind of raises a question of, okay, well, and it's one that I'm sure everybody struggles with at some point in their life when confronted with the morality of eating meat. But again, I feel as though God gave us these creatures to consume them. They have vital nutrients in them that you can't find other places, anywhere else. So there's that point. Okay. And then, especially, like, and then the milk from them, there's just so much that these animals supply us with that, and yeah, in everyday living, you do take that for granted. But I've come to the conclusion, not the theory, the conclusion that God's creatures were given to us to shepherd, to look over and use as we see fit. And I'm not saying that everybody is responsible in that way, but what he's describing, man, I bet that was very good meat. Very good. Like, and I'm sure they weren't torturing the animals. But anyways, so let's get back into it.
I'm a cardiologist by training. During medical school, we would take stem cells, re-inject them into the person's heart to regrow the heart muscle. And to me, it felt like, oh my gosh, what if you can take cells from an animal and grow meat from it? What would that be?
From a scientific standpoint, cultivated meat is an unbelievably simple idea that's been around for probably as long as people have been eating meat, which is, if I just want a chicken wing, do I need a whole chicken?
This is Eric, our tour guide, and
that to me is kind of preposterous. If I just need a chicken wing, do I need to kill a whole chicken? Or like, I get what. The issue is when you harvest a chicken, you don't just eat the wing. Like, I slow roasted 2 Cornish game hens. Yeah, right. In my small Traeger. Well, not this small, but I don't know how big it is. But anyways, and we ate everything. And then make stock from the bones. Bone broth. My gosh, that stuff is so good and so good for you. The collagen, the marrow and all that. Oh man, great flavor too. Oh yeah, and by the way, like if you're someone, I don't know, slow roasting is a whole different, ball game than like barbecuing. Barbecuing's good, and especially barbecuing's great. Especially if you're strapped for time, you got a lot of mouths to feed and not enough like prep time before. Like, yeah, barbecue's great, but man, if you have the time, the means, and the wherewithal to do it, man, slow roasting anything, hands down, greatest.
professional scientist, and I'm gonna guess basketball player?
College basketball, and not very good at it.
Anyway, after we got all suited up with these super fashionable beard nets, Eric gave me a tour of the facility.
Should I be wearing one of those? I feel like being in this sterile stainless steel, environment I should be in that, right? Or I should be wearing one with this video.
where they make the meat.
What do you feed the cells?
We feed the cells the same thing you and I would eat, except in a much more simplified form. So if we're eating, say, meat or
Amino acids
protein
and stuff.
or starches in like a potato,
Okay.
we just break those down to its components. Amino acids in the case of protein, sugars in the case of starches, vitamins, minerals, those sorts of things. You take cells which are living, and as long as they're fed, kept warm, and given a place to grow without competition from bacteria, they'll continue to grow using their genetic programming. And they will produce the same thing that's in an animal, and then you can eat it.
This way, you can grow the meat without needing to grow the rest of the animal. No bones, no skin, no nervous system. The only problem with this is that it also doesn't have an immune system. So if bacteria gets into the process, it pretty much ruins the whole batch.
Oof, okay. A couple things on that. No nervous system, no bones and all that. Well, so is it as complete as regular meat, like with all the amino acids that are found in meat, or are some things with a nervous system, or even without bones and so I don't know. And then this part's kind of scary because what if contaminant does get inside and then it still gets pushed onto the conveyor belt? I'm a little scared about that already.
And the most important thing, of course, is that once we put anything into the system, it is in fact sterile. We monitor all the different types of bacteria in the air and on the surfaces. We also monitor what's inside here, but more importantly, what's not here.
Right.
Bacteria, viruses.
Okay.
Our main line of defense is prevention, is effectively just never letting bacteria or viruses in.
Effectively, we are the immune system in a facility like this. This is important because one of the main advantages of this technology is that you wouldn't need to use antibiotics like we do now in animal agriculture.
That I will. Here's the thing. I'm trying to be completely, unbiased here, right? That's a good one. That's a damn good point. No antibiotics. When I was a kid, many moons ago, when I was a kid, they actually warned us in health class that our meat that we're being fed, and I think chicken might have been the biggest culprit then. Maybe it still is, but I feel like cows are now. But they pump them with so much hormones, antibiotics and stuff that two things. One, apparently, like, this is going to sound like a weird fact, but that they're pumping the chickens with so much hormones that young females would reach maturity much younger in life. And I was like, dang, that's weird. And then the second was with antibiotics, is that they're pumping these, and I think now it's the cows pumping them with so much antibiotics that our bodies are becoming like like our bodies don't use regular prescribed antibiotics as well anymore. So it's like we can't use the antibiotics as efficiently because of all the antibiotics that they pump into these cows, and then we cook them and we eat them. That's a positive. I admit that's a positive.
The moment we take the cells directly from a farm animal, we have to pierce its skin in order to get the cells. There's going to be bacteria there. We use a small amount of antibiotics to make sure no bacteria transfer into our system. And this is, I'm talking about over the course of years before we actually get them into production. Once they're in production, we do not use antibiotics at all.
Okay.
Cultivating meat at a small scale has been done for a while, but the challenge for the folks at Upside is how to grow this production up to a commercial scale.
Oh, this
I'm
is
happy.
great.
This is great.
So many more tanks.
So much more room for activities.
In case you missed it, Eric just referenced the classic movie Step Brothers.
Don't care.
which means he and I are about to become best friends.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep. This is the production floor. Things that work here get scaled massively up for commercial scale production.
Right.
So this facility can do up to about 400,000.
Not gonna lie. Where I work right now, currently, there's a wastewater department. This to me, and I think it's rad, dude. How, we pump, we get water coming in, waste, we treat it, and then it gets pumped to various places. Well, it has to get pumped through a lot of different vats and treatment areas to actually go back to production in a sense. And it's non-potable or whatever. You don't drink it because it's all just recycled. So everything goes down the drain, goes into wastewater. From wastewater gets treated and then goes back to the sinks and everything. So anyways, but dude, this, yeah, I like that. I like, cool, intricate, facilities like that. Very cool.
Pounds of cultivated meat per year, which is a lot for cultivated meat, but in the grand scheme of meat, it's a very small amount. Our commercial facility will be able to do in the tens of millions of pounds of cultivated meat per year.
If this can be done at a scale that competes with existing...
That they just said, hold on.
Millions of pounds of cultivated meat per year.
They just said earlier that the meat that they produce doesn't have bones and stuff like that. So right now they're talking about the cultivated meat, but they're showing us the livestock meat. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but I don't like how they're doing that, because as they're talking about the cultivated meat, but showing you pictures of what is clearly farm-raised meat, it's almost like they're trying to make you connect those. And it's like, no, they are separate. You're working on this, but you're showing pictures of this. I don't know. To me, it's a little like Jedi mind trick stuff.
This can be done at a scale that competes with existing meat production. It'll mean a much cleaner environment.
My bad.
It takes 2 years to raise a cow before it goes to slaughter. It takes 9 months for a pig before it goes to slaughter. And it takes 2 months for a chicken before it goes to slaughter. It takes us 2 weeks to grow meat. And everything we make can be eaten.
Just because something is quicker doesn't exactly mean it's more efficient per se. By that I mean, what kind of efficiency are we talking about? Obviously, the air quality gotta be better. The ground and all that, I guess better, but even though the earth was made for animals to thrive, grass, and then cattle eat the grass, and then poop, fertilizer, all that, right? But just because the process is quicker, again, doesn't mean it's exactly more efficient. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I keep stopping this.
Therefore, we just see first principle advantages that are significantly superior to conventional meat.
But for all of this to work, two things need to happen. Companies like Upside need to be able to make the stuff at an affordable price, and people need to want to eat it. So what does it taste like? Let's find out.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know how to say this. I sound like I'm an idiot, but to me, I base what I eat more around what I know is good for me and what my system takes in better and uses better, right? Than like taste and flavor. Yeah, I'll add spices. I'll add, oils and stuff, like, infuse it and all that. But the base itself, in all honesty, if this were to take off, and this was basically forced on us, may I remind you that, Bill Gates is buying up, farmland and highly investing in this kind of stuff. But if this takes off and this is all that there is available, I really wouldn't care so much what it would taste like, as long as it's very nutritionally dense. And I'm not kidding. There are some things that I drink daily, and I know that they're good for me, that I just kick back really fast because they don't taste good. But I care about the nutrients that are in them.
Currently, Upside's only FDA approved product is their chicken fillet, which is made in a small scale process to replicate the look and feel of a chicken breast. But they're also replicating ground meat products that can be made at a much larger scale, and I got to taste them all. But before we dived into the tasting, I had a bone to pick. What kind of chicken meat were they cultivating? As you well know, this is an issue we take very seriously at Hard Reset.
Take very seriously, yet they're joking around and stepbrothers and everything. Beard nuts.
What is your favorite part of the chicken?
Thigh.
It would be the thigh. Thigh's the way to go.
Right.
Why didn't they start with the thigh?
Why chicken breast and not chicken thigh?
Why chicken breast meat and not chicken thigh meat?
Chicken thigh is by far the superior meat. Fully agree with you.
Okay.
Western palates prefer chicken breast.
Do they?
Western palates,
Really?
when they think chicken, our research shows they want white meat. They want breast meat. It is also...
Dude, all the families I have ever sat down, had the pleasure of sitting with and having like Thanksgiving dinner with, or, you know, Christmas or whatever, the breast of the turkey is always left. The legs are the first to go. The thighs, obviously, you know, but and then you got the meat kind of like in between. But anyway, I would push back on that. I don't know about that. And so I thought maybe they were gonna say it's too hard for them to like replicate or get just right. Like and the reason that the dark meat is just a richer, you know, robust flavor is the oils, the natural oils there. So I felt like maybe that was going to be the answer, but I was wrong. I digress.
So a lot of the meat that's put into chicken nuggets, that was just the familiar cut that people wanted.
Familiar.
However, our chicken breast meat has intentionally some dark meat character added into it on purpose in the form of connective tissue that prevents it from overcooking. And I think it sort of redeemed it. The people wanted it, so we're giving it to them.
Make better choices, America.
Yeah, I mean, the optimal preparation for most chicken is fried and breaded.
So that's the breakfast sausage.
The ground product, is that correct?
Yep.
The only animal product in there
You had to
is
ask
chicken
for that?
cells.
Duh.
Oh my gosh.
Your breakfast sandwich.
Thank you.
All right.
So this is my first bite of cell-cultivated chicken.
Cut to 2 weeks later, growing a third arm. I'm just kidding.
This was also apparently my first bite of solid food. Oh my goodness, there's at least 3 pounds of cheese in my beard. I promise you, I do know how to eat. I'm just not sure.
I think for this taste test to have gone better, they should have just given it to him without anything else in it. To be honest with you, I mean, if you're worried about the main components flavor, why smother it in cheese and in a, you know, English muffin or whatever? I get it. That's what you would normally eat in, but maybe even just a sample on the side that is not covered in cheese, and then your breakfast sandwich. But who am I?
What happened this day?
That tastes really good. How much was that was in my mustache is what I want to know.
Quite a lot, as it turns out.
How much does this cost compared
Yep.
to an
I
equivalent
was just about
product
to ask
at a
that.
restaurant?
Our goal is to put it at about 30% or so price premium to start with.
Okay.
We have
No, please don't zoom in on off. Please.
Oh yeah, we're very serious here. We just keep making little jokes.
Finally. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Uma?
The cost of making this inevitably will be cheaper than conventional, but that's going to take time as we scale.
Right.
And I think that sweet spot is going to be hard to exactly predict, but it's going to be 5 years plus.
So here we have our upside chicken pot stickers.
Quickly before we get into this, I'm gonna say something that might be I don't think there's a way that I'd be able to obviously prove or anything, but excuse me, I feel like, you know, like how like these big tech CEOs and everybody leading the way, like Silicon Valley president, or, CEOs and stuff. Like, dang it, I can't remember. I don't remember if it was the Teal guy or Facebook guy, whatever. Basically the ones, heading the way of, like, phone development and stuff. Remember how they admitted that they basically don't allow their own kids screen time, but they know it's a huge problem in society right now. That'll be a whole different video if this one's good. So what I'm saying is, we got Bill Gates saying the world's population needs to be cut in half, buying up farmland all over the U.S. I don't know if he's international or not, but I know he's buying up thousands of acres of farmland in America. And for some reason, one itty bitty bitty acre in Arizona. If you see the map of how much land he owns over the states, it's like 1,000, 9,000, 10,000. And then down there in Arizona, 1 acre. Really weird. But anyways, he said, so he's buying up he's buying up the farmland, and then he's dumping, what I'm guessing is probably millions or billions into this, right? Lab grown meat. If I were a betting man, I would say he himself will still be eating grass-fed, hormone, antibiotic-free beef, like straight from the farm. Again, it's something that can't prove, but if this takes off, I feel like farm-raised meat, and especially beef, even right now, beef prices are, they're not coming down. What I normally get at the grocery store, I'm not gonna say what, it went up again, $2 more. Anyways, especially beef, but all farm-raised animals are meat. It's going to be just for, the the CEOs, the upper class. Yeah, I really think that that's what's going to happen, and they're going to have control over what nutrients are and are not present in our lab grown meat. I can almost guarantee that. But yeah, again, nothing that I can prove. It's just, if I were a betting man, that's why, because grass-fed, hormone-free beef is, or dude, bison. This guy, the dude was a cardiologist. He should also know that the only red meat cardiologists actually recommend for anyone with what's it called, what is it, the plaque or what, anyways, bison is the only red meat the cardiologists recommend because for some reason, calorically dense, nutritionally dense. Really interesting.
Amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and cut into this guy. It tastes really good. Oh.
I'm sorry, cholesterol. That was the word I was looking for. Cardiologist, this dude. Cardiologist, bison's the only red meat that they recommend for cholesterol.
Apparently my vocabulary for describing food is limited to really good.
It's really good. This is really good. It's really good.
That's why I'm not the one handing out Michelin stars, folks.
Watch out, Chick-fil-A. It's really good.
I'm so very articulate. Anyway, the food we ate was delicious, but let's be honest. Even a coffee mug that has been breaded, deep fried, and served with a nice runny egg would be pretty tasty.
True.
So I made a point of trying the meat on its own, without all the
Yeah.
extra stuff, and
Yeah.
it tasted really good.
Okay.
You can definitely see the fibers in there. It tastes
Mm.
exactly like you expect
That looks like chicken that's already on the market, by the way.
it to. And in your mouth, it chews apart the way you expected meat to. It tastes really good. I was really hung up on like why breast meat and not thigh meat, but this is really good breast meat. So it's really tasty.
I can't stress enough that it tastes and feels just like the meat
Yeah,
I've known all my life.
That looks like chicken that's
It's somewhat weird that this
already out
bleeding
there.
edge food technology is all about trying to replicate a familiar
There's another video circulating the web talking about how, yeah, hey, you notice how like chicken legs, chicken wings, when you go to cook them now, there's no blood that comes out. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I remember when I was younger, when I was a kid, you know, we'd fry some chicken legs, and yeah, there'd be blood coming out of the bones. I almost feel like, to a certain extent, some of this is already out there. I don't know, but I could be wrong, or maybe they're just treating it differently. Maybe I don't know. But it really is kind of weird.
experience. If they succeed, it'll be indistinguishable from what you already know. So, what would the future look like with this technology at scale? Picture a scenario where we restart meat production from scratch. Animal agriculture would probably still be right at the center of this new system. At the right level of density, animal agriculture can be really good for maintaining some ecosystems. But we'd hopefully say goodbye to concentrated feedlots. The cells from these animals could be harvested and used to grow millions of pounds of meat, all while the animals themselves are alive and kicking.
We do not have to have the intense animal agriculture or confined animal feeding operations where we put millions of animals in small areas. We can have regenerative agriculture where animals are roaming freely. They don't have this intense confinements. We can have cultivated meat be the industry that can supply delicious, high-quality meat for the largest amount of population with the lowest amount of impact.
If we saw the end of slaughterhouses without losing our access to the meat they provide, I don't think many people would feel bad about that.
I have not met a single person to date that walked out of a slaughterhouse and said, I love this process. Most people leave feeling somewhat scarred or conflicted.
And the meat
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about before. You know, conflicted with the morality of eating meat. I understand that, and I respect it. But yeah, you're not gonna walk out of any factory loving it. Love is a strong word. I don't know why he chose to say that. It's just weird.
we make might be healthier for us too, where the proteins and fats are all optimized for our health.
The idea of customizing the product is the holy grail of this whole industry. Maybe one of these days we're making the nutritions of like a salmon fillet, but in a red meat product. Or
Okay, I like that. I'm not gonna lie, I like that. Except for like what I would. So the way I imagine it is like, okay, if we can make something that's just so nutritionally dense, right, that you only have to eat like tiny little beat in a day, and you know you maintain good shape and all your numbers are good when you go and take a blood test and all that sort of stuff. And let's just say it's like just a little cube, I mean, that I think that's I think sci-fi somewhere had that as a in the future, future food will be a cube that has all the nutritional value that you need for a day. That still kind of frightens me though, because again, we're giving corporations so much control into what is going in and what is not going into something that is so intimate, our body, you know, it's going inside our body.
Or a type of meat we can't even imagine.
Eric might not want to say it out loud, but I think we all know it's dinosaur meat
So
that people
dumb.
want. Dinosaur thigh meat. The production of meat could be done at a much
Just like that guy said, you know, oh, I've never heard anyone go through a slaughter factory and say, oh, I love that. I have never heard anyone say, I want to try dinosaur meat. You don't know what it is. Like, to me, I think it would probably be tough, especially a raptor skin. T-Rex's skin, I'm sure it's scaly and thick, like a croc.
more manageable scale, where cultivators could operate in any neighborhood, eliminating the need to ship meat over long distances like we do now.
If we continue to produce meat in the way we do now, we will unfortunately have to make a choice between existing as a species or giving up the choices we really love. The answer is we need it right now. We need it right now. We needed it 50 years ago, but the technology did not exist. The technology exists now, and we need to get ahead.
I don't get his timeline. What do you mean we needed this 50 years ago? Why? Our meat supply is going fine. Well, it was going better, actually, you know, not too long ago. Now, yeah, now the prices are going up, but that's also because we have certain entities buying up the land. You know, that nobody's talking about that part, man.
If you want to distill science at its core, it's a very empathetic position. You acknowledge the reality that you are a product of the time in which you are, and you try to envision a world in which you want to be in scientifically. How do you get there?
That's cool.
When you can't reach it, it just becomes sci-fi. And when you can reach it, it becomes a place like this that we're sitting in right now. It becomes a meat processing facility making meat without an animal. I'm looking down the barrel because I want you to listen to me. Thigh meat is the superior meat. Thigh meat is the superior meat.
And I'm pretty sure farm raised meat is a superior meat still, even right now. So, sorry, I didn't mean to breathe right into it. What I'm taking away from this is obviously, you know, their heart is in the right place. Obviously, nobody likes being, you know, the making that choice, right? And you know, I've always said too, like, man, you know, I'd rather slaughter like one cow or deer or whatever and have food for my family for an entire year. So one life, 1 year, than to have to take, you know, however many, you know, chicken lives. Anyways, that's kind of the morality that I chop up to. So, but also, I do actually think we should be taking much better care of our cattle. You know, I've seen obviously same like PETA or whatever videos that I'm sure all of you have also seen. Just the conditions are deplorable, man. But the struggle I have with this subject are kind of two things. One, they didn't mention the reason that, one, this is being pushed, and two, that you know, demand is becoming higher, or that prices are getting higher. You know, farmland is shrinking. It's because these big corporations are buying up this farmland, and not to mention China too, buying up farmland. Okay, so they're the ones. The boot's not on the neck yet, but they are definitely the driving force of it. And then two, I don't like how if we were to spend this amount of money on the actual problem of, farm land, I, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not any of that, but we're dumping a lot of resources into here, but not here. And to me, it's like, if we actually put the resources in here, the planet could thrive. We could, keep the farmland and, thrive. I get the push for lab grown meat. I don't agree with it. So again, I'm still conflicted. And I will admit, if it shows that lab grown meat is nutritionally dense and all that sort of stuff, I still wouldn't eat it. I don't see crossing over like that. I really don't. And I apologize, but to make, I'm not trying to, do anything, nefarious. I'm just making a video on my opinion and stuff, but yeah, no, not for me, or my family. So yeah. But yeah, that wraps it up. So, again, guys, be kind to each other, be respectful, be, converse with each other and all that sort of stuff. Just, and then again, don't forget to take a break, go outside, get some fresh air, touch some grass, dirt, trees, water, plants. Stay away from wild animals. So, until the next one, see you later.